One of the ghetto riots of the 1960s, my brother was out in the streets asking the rioters, "Where are you going to shop after you burn down this man's store?" Although a riot is not the best place for a Socratic dialogue, my brother somehow returned home safely. Today, more than 30 years later, no one has yet answered his question. Reality, however, has answered it decisively and painfully. Low-income and minority neighborhoods across the country are sadly lacking in stores, and the stores they have charge higher prices for substandard goods sold in dirtier surroundings by less polite clerks and owners. The title of a study by the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs, "The Poor Pay More for Less," summed it up. Some residents of low-income areas have to go far from where they live to shop in more upscale neighborhoods and pay for a ride back home with their groceries. An organization for the elderly in some upper Manhattan low-income neighborhoods has arranged for bus trips to New Jersey for them to do their shopping. It was not like this when I grew up in Harlem in the 1940s. It was less than half a block to a drugstore, no more than half a block to a grocery store, and there was a supermarket across the street from that store. You didn't have to go 2 blocks to find a butcher shop or a stationery store or an optician. There was a dentist across the street. I can't remember any of these people being rude to me when I was a kid. There were too many alternatives.
Now that's Thomas Sowell, and I'll put the link into the description for you guys to watch the rest of that clip if you're interested. It's a fascinating take that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. And it's quite unfortunate because those words of wisdom seem to be needed now more than ever. You see, history is repeating itself again. Due to several conjectures, including the mainstream media fanning the flames of division, in some places the police being demoralized and defunded, and the legislator in some cities make it illegal to chase people that have stole less than $1,000 worth of goods. So if someone knows what to steal and they decide to steal exactly $950 worth of goods from a store, they're not going to be chased by the police. They're not going to be stopped by the security guard of the store, which means that if people do this en masse, well, I guess the shops are just going to have to raise prices. And it's not a surprise that now you have what appears to be a wave of looting. And it's getting worse. And as you can see from the previous video, this is going to hurt that particular community. It's going to hurt the people living there. It's going to hurt the poor people because the rich people, they live in gated communities. They don't have to deal with that shit. They have security. They don't really care. So it's the middle class and the lower class that are going to suffer the most from this. And there is a solution. Fortunately, the progressives have found a solution for the trouble. It's a tried and true progressive method which exists mostly within the United States. There is absolutely no equivalent here in Eastern Europe, by the way. I've never heard about it. But apparently it must work because the US keeps using it and the United Kingdom uses it as well. And the method is to change definitions. You see, if something bad happens in a society and people notice it and then there is stigma against it, the correct solution to solve this problem is to just get people to stop talking about it. So if instead of calling it looting, we now call it organized robbery, then the problem is solved. Congratulations, you have solved it. Shopkeepers can rest assured because now the experts have weighed in. The studies show, the experts claim that if you call it organized robbery instead of looting, then everything is fine. And I have seen this a lot of times with different words, different connotation. One that comes to mind right now is fake geek. Like in various communities where geeks used to gather, you would have socialists, malicious people that wanted to cause division in that community and had absolutely no interest in the actual game or the TV show that was being discussed. And people noticed that and they started calling them fake geeks. So obviously, the experts decided that you should stop using the word fake geek. So in other words, if you don't talk about the problem, you don't notice the problem, then we can just move on. It's not a problem that requires solving. Just move on, pretend it's not there. And it's quite harmful, obviously, because if you don't admit there is a problem, then people aren't going to come with a solution for the problem. And there is no equivalent for this in Eastern Europe. Like, I can't think of any time when in Romanian language we had, like, stop using this word, use this other word instead. It's just, like, absolutely ridiculous. It's childish. It's infantilizing. It's dumb. It's like you're being a kid, and mommy and daddy says, hey, can you stop saying fuck? You know, it's literally like that. But, you know, I guess it's the American tried and true progressive method. And unfortunately, it's history repeating itself. I have said this previously. But if you look in American culture from the 80s and the 70s, you will notice that there's a lot of movies where criminals are getting their comeuppance. So you have Dirty Harry, you have RoboCop, you have Demolition Man, Ninja Turtles, like all of these movies and all of these comic books and all of these video games like Defenders of the Hood, they show crime-ridden cities and the hero is just beating criminals. And people enjoyed watching that. Like, they would spend money to watch that. And I guess it's because people felt helpless and entertainment was the only avenue of escapism they had left. So, for me as a European, it was very bizarre playing those video games. I was like, oh my god, that is so unrealistic. But for the Americans, it might have been an actual reality. And apparently looting has been deemed racially charged term by progressives now. I wonder who the racists are, by the way. I mean, very interesting, isn't it? And they're saying you should call it organized robbery instead. I guess it's like the Italian mafia, huh? Like organized robbery. But you can loot without organizing, right? Like, I mean, you can have one looter, like one single person without any organization. Or maybe you have like a bunch of people in the street, like one breaks into a store and another one sees that the person broke in and they go in as well. Like, it doesn't need to be organized. Well, but you know, what do I know? I'm not an expert. And the experts have weighed in, so I need to step back. ABC News, a race and social justice reporter, said that policing and analysts are cautioning against the use of the term looting after a wave of smash and grab robberies devastated the San Francisco community. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott, in a press conference, said that the Louis Vuitton store and the Burberry Westfield Mall were among the upscale retail chains that were burglarized and looted. The thieves netted $1 million in stolen goods. So, I love how this brilliant investigative social justice journalist from ABC 7 News is very expert at tone policing people, but is very poor at providing solutions to actually fix the problem. You know, like, maybe people would stop using the word looting if Legasp, looting wouldn't happen. You know, maybe talk to some Romanians. Contact my government, because there's very little looting in Romania. See what we're doing and apply it there. How about that? We're talking about two incidents. We're not going to call this looting. This is organized robbery. That's what it is. Again, like, just changing the definitions, according to Sergeant Christian Cabarilo. And if you change the definitions, the things go away, right? The $40,000 merchandise stolen apparently is similar to other crimes that hit Hayward and Walnut Creek. Dozens of cars blocked a street in the front of the Nordstrom location before about 80 armed masked thieves rushed out, ran into the store to steal merchandise. Yeah, but like, it's organized crime in this case, right? They organized it. And they organized the looting. I mean, organized crime can also be, I don't know, a prostitution ring. That's also organized crime. But these people organized themselves and started looting. Now, the reason they managed to do this, I assume, is because they thought that the police are weak and they thought that they can get away with it. Because you don't get this shit happening in my country. Again, like, the reason I keep saying this is because I want people to understand that this is not normal. Right? Like, there are other places in the world with the same technology as the United States where this doesn't happen. Like, it's not a normal thing. We used to have it here, by the way. We used to have this happening here, but not anymore. So something changed. And maybe, just maybe, you know, the American government, like the people from San Francisco, can call into Romania, where NATO's strategic ally, and ask us, like, how did you manage to stop the looting in your country? And I'm pretty sure the Romanian politicians will enlighten them on how it's being done. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.